Hey guys, welcome back to Unity Park and the 9th episode of this collaboration. So if you haven't seen the previous ones, make sure to check them out first. I'll leave the link to the playlist in the description for you, because today I'm getting straight to business without reaction to what the others did. I have a lot to do. I have my mountain from last time to finish, and I had plans. And we're starting with these because I've had the idea since MontgomeryRex's video, and I was eager to get to it because I wanted to start with a monorail trick. And I had tried it before after Monty's turn and knew it would work, but now, 2 turns later, it didn't. And it crashed. Every time I selected the move tool, the game crashed. So I had to fake it. Because the reason I did want to do the monorail trick was that I wanted to connect the path that I still had left open from Caesar's aviary with a long tour through a glowing sauropod valley connecting to Tommy's build, who did a glowing valley but no sauropods in it. And we have a glowing sauropod, and we have sauropods in our logo. So far, no one had used them, so I knew I had to, and I wanted to. So what you see me doing is faking the track being lower, because I wanted the monorail to be sunken down a little bit, so you're on approximately the same height as the sauropods' heads are, or slightly on top of those, just to have a cooler view. It's possible to do this, but I lost, of course, some space to this trench I had to dig under the track. And initially I wanted there to be one large sauropod exhibit with several sauropods in there. I wanted the brachyes to be in there because they are in the logo. And of course, the Ankylodocus, because it glows, and that's the whole point. But I didn't want my dinosaurs to walk through this trench. It looks idiotic. I don't like it. And so I knew I was going to line the track with invisible fencing. And so I created 3 smaller exhibits. You will see different dinosaurs in there than what I ended up with. And they will switch exhibits. Just view it as a work in progress. I ended up with brachyes, paras, and the Ankylodocus. Nothing more. And as always, I decided to go for a more naturalistic type of environment in this exhibit. Well, except for the glowing part. But yeah, I figure for a tour like this, you know, there's no stopping. It goes at 1 speed. You're relatively high up, doing something with a lot of little detail-y things. I mean, I'm adding lots of nature-y detail, but that's not something that you turn around and look at it and say, hey, oh my God, you see this little campsite and the Jeep and stuff. I didn't want that type of detail in it. Nothing that is trying to tell a story or look like a particularly exquisite piece of landscaping. No. The dinosaurs and the glowiness of them and their surroundings is what people are supposed to look at. That's it. So I went with this natural thing. I hid these connection thingies from the invisible fence, of course, with rocks and foliage. In order to get close to the invisible fence, though, I like to replace it by the concrete fence, because the concrete fence, like any other fence, does not have the problem with this huge hitbox the invisible fence has developed lately. And it has these equally visible connection thingies, so it works pretty well. I know where to put my rocks, I would know where to put my stuff. But overall, I wanted this and the whole build, as a matter of fact, to be as minimalistic as I could possibly bear. Because the reason I couldn't do my monorail trick is because the game has decided that this save file is a special one. It is acting up. I think it is partly the map and partly the insane amount of white rocks and tropical plants that have been used in this build. And I'm not looking at anyone right here. I don't need to say any names. you know who you are. I was afraid to break it, and I was afraid to be the one to destroy the save file. So my mission today was to build with as little decorations as I could. And I think the fact that I chose this monorail thing and that I'm building on top of a mountain is doing me a huge favor. Because when you're that high up, you don't need to put as much detail on the ground in all the exhibits that are around it, because you won't be able to see it anyways. I know some of you are screaming at me right now, but I know it's there. Yes, you do, but that's all. You won't see it, so it's fine to not create islands and formations of teeny tiny rocks and stuff and go completely mental. And I'm very happy that's the case. So, I tried to hit this fine balance because completely undetailed and too much detail. And I started with less because I knew I was going to want to add the new super cool light we have to illuminate the rocks, because I have done several glowing exhibits so far, and my go-to thing is to make the rocks glow. I used to use the little lights and hide them behind smaller rocks or foliage and stuff. And so I knew, because this light, unfortunately, doesn't come with a sibling that is hidden inside a rock, I knew I would have to place a ton of smaller rocks around the lights to make it look good. So the detail was going to come on its own. And there will be several moments where I stopped adding lights and rocks because I thought, how the heck did this get so detailed? I didn't want to put so much detail in here. But okay. So, anyways, I was like, this is like my go-to method. I really like the way it looks. And Tommy has done 2 different illumination concepts in his 2 very long stretched valley exhibits. So I thought I had to add a 3rd one, which this glowing rock thing was. And what I also did differently is that I really just wanted them to not be radiant, like seem as if they were lit up or glowing on their own, but just have them have this really saturated glow, as if some kind of bacteria, that it is bioluminescent, or the other thing, what's it called? Or like some sort of, glowing moss growing on the rocks and the stuff around it. So I chose for one colors that Tommy hadn't used, which was pretty easy because it were only 2. Red and green, and of course my digital artist brain was caught on fire because the Ankylodocus has this bluish purplish glow, and blue is the one color missing from RGB. Yay! And so I thought, okay, let's make it a bluish purpley, maybe some pink. And I threatened the guys that I was doing some girly stuff eventually in this park, and I think now I did. So I went with these girly Barbie deep dark magenta, ultraviolet type of colors, because they fit with the dinosaurs and they go with the RGB theme, which, by the way, I exploited like a maniac later on. And one thing I want to talk about. I left like a mini Easter egg that you're going to see in my glamour shots. So if you spot it, leave a comment down below. But I have a problem, because Monty told me he left an Easter egg for me to find, as he did for Legion. Legion has found his, like, immediately, but I haven't. I have spent half an hour checking his entire section, only to find out later that it is not in his section, but visible from one of the many great views we have. That's the clue I have. So of course I spent over an hour checking out every view we had until then, and I couldn't find anything. Do you guys, please help me. I want to solve this riddle. There's no rule against me asking for help. So if you have any idea for me where to look for this Easter egg. I don't even have an idea what it could be. I'm so lost, but I haven't reached a point yet where I'm giving up. So any hints, any ideas from you guys would be so helpful. Please put them in the comments. Please. Thank you. Anyhow, I was talking about... What was I talking about? I don't know. Let's start with one last thing about the lights. Tommy used these really small lights in his first exhibit with a green lighting color and put them like in clusters inside the foliage. And I did something similar, but completely different in my last Hogwarts video because I was trying to fake fireflies. And I think it worked pretty well, so I wanted to do the same thing here to be a nod to the exhibit that Tommy did, to tie it all together. And because I really like the idea that, you know, if you squint, if you put them in water, especially with the movement of the water, it looks like they're moving, and you just put 1 or 3 in one spot and not more, and go with a darker light color. And, you know, if I squint and don't think about it, I see fireflies, and I like that a lot. I thought it just added something to this exhibit, as well as to this what was now becoming a 3-part tour that was only intentioned as a 2-parter. Obviously, the first 2 parts that Tommy did have a lot in common because they were built by the same person. But I have a totally different style, and my goal here was not to copy anyone, but to try to find ways of making my stuff fit in with the rest of the other guys' stuff. First, because it's in the name, it's called Unity, and so far all we have are these totally different sections that are all really cool. But with regards to what is happening with the save file, I think it's now time to start tying things together, you know, not adding too much more. Like in the end, I added to what I had built before 3 relatively small sauropod exhibits and a lot of landscaping and 2 plazas that I decorated with a lot of lights in red, green, and blue, and I love it, and I can't stop it, and you have to watch it all because this lighting combination and this whole lighting things with colorful stuff, since we have this beautiful light, it just has to go somewhere, and you need to watch it because I love it. So that's it. I don't think I have anything more to say about this. Of course, I tried to make an entry to the RGB tour, but at the same time, also an entry to my part of the tour, the blue part, the blue, purple, pinkish part. So I added, of course, something to indicate that. Let's just, you know what, let's just leave it at this understatement. Before I tried to bring in like the entire tour as a theme as well. So yeah, I played a lot with lights, with lighting. The amenities are mostly white and have like this one pop of accent color, but the rest of the color comes from the lighting. These plazas basically change their entire appearance once the night falls, and I kind of liked this idea, so I went with it. I didn't want it to be on the nose during the day, because if you're coming onto this plaza during the day, just imagine walking onto this plaza and being hit by all of these crazy colors. There are hints of crazy colors there, yeah, but they're not as prominent as during the night. And then going on the tour, you're bound to be disappointed. No one's glowing. None of the animals are glowing. The rock colors, at least in my part, are barely visible. And even with Tommy's build, during the day, you see hints of color. But you know, it had to be something that works during the day. You can't take this tour during the day. It won't glow. And so it had to reflect that. The guest section had to reflect this fact. Oh, this right here is, by the way, the moment of discovery of this beautiful rainbow lighting effect that appears when you put blue, red, and green lights next to each other. So of course I had to leave this in here and show you how I discovered light. I discovered color theory. and started abusing it. Oh, and by the way, one more reason why I left this in here is because I mean, I had to stop using the move tool. I haven't talked about this yet, but I had to. So I had to completely rotate my brain like 180 degrees. I had to start, I had to learn again how it was before I knew I had a move tool. I basically had to learn a new style of building because my building style always has been heavily reliant on that move tool. So yeah, I did many things very different than I would usually do them in this build. But I like them a lot. But this just goes to show, see how I'm struggling with positioning the thing in the right place because I don't have a chance to move it. If it's in the wrong one, I have to delete it and put it there again, start from scratch. And yeah, of course I wanted to share this pain and struggle with you guys because what else am I going to do with it? So yeah, plus the guest section had to do something that I've talked about before. It's the tying things in to Unity. Things should start to blend in together. So this time I tried to implement like elements from the others. So I grabbed like tiny aspects from everyone else and tried to work them into my style so that my section still is my section, but it has these reoccurring elements that you see in the rest of the park. So every now and then I try to incorporate Legion's white rocks, the concrete barrier, the tropical plant. I started placing these viewing dome and log flags we have because I saw Caesar do that and I like the vibe it gives you. It gives you an instant real place vibe, and I like that a lot, so I wanted to incorporate this. I liked these little backstage areas that Monty did by using the wall with the door in it. I tried to do an oval, but I didn't want to go through the entire process that Python did. But, bring in this shape a second time to not have it be this lonely and an outsider. That sort of stuff. In my opinion, it ties things together. And I decided also to break a bit with the flowiness of the path that I have going on usually, or sometimes in my first part. I did mostly flowy stuff, but with Caesar's little petting zoo he added, he has these beehive octagons. I think he made 6, I don't know, no circles before. We have been doing lots of circles, lots of swirly things and round stuff. But he added these angles and I like it a lot. So, to ground it all a little bit more together, I decided that on the mountain, I was going to use the natural, quote unquote, natural shapes that I had established there, the edges of the mountain, and sort of have the path follow them, accentuate them, make them even sharper, the angles sometimes, to have less rounded shapes, to counterbalance all the rounded shapes we have. Nothing seems round and flowy anymore if everything is, if that makes any sense. So, to tie these two aesthetics in together, I thought repeating some of these angled paths that Caesar introduced was a good idea. And I added a new connection to the mountain. So far, the only way to go was by using the monorail that is swirling up to the top. But that seemed a little too restrictive to me. So I thought maybe adding a second connection that is leading you somewhere else might be a good idea. So I added a Hyperloop electricity thing. It works as a connection. It's not pretty, so I hid it, as we do, behind the walls, behind trees, lighting, nature, whatever. So I could start working on the first big thing that I wanted to do on the mountain, which is a walkthrough habitat. I don't know, I think I had a discussion with Monty or Legion. I don't remember. I think it was Monty. Oh my god, my brain is so cluttered. Yeah, so Monty said if he didn't have any idea for anything of his own to build, he would probably put a walkthrough habitat with sauropods, maybe in them, maybe with brackies. And that was kind of my plan, but I strayed from the plan. On my mountain. And I thought it was such a cool idea, so I had to steal it. And that's what I did. I wanted to add brackies here too, to sort of give you the experience of first taking the tour around the mountain through the brachy exhibit and seeing them from afar, and then coming real close to them. While you're looking down onto the exhibit, you passed through with the monorail. At least that's the story happening in my head. And I would have found that very romantic, beautiful. But this plan was an old one, and it took into consideration that I wanted this to be a glitched monorail tour with one huge exhibit with several different sauropods in them. Now you know what happened, and you know that I changed it all and thought it was no longer fitting to... Maybe it would have been. Maybe I could have just done what I wanted to do. Because I... It's too late now. I used Alamosaurus because they're cool and colorful and beautiful, but they are a bit too big for this walkthrough habitat, I think. Maybe. I mean, brackies are known to be pretty small. I give you that. Wouldn't have been much better, but maybe a little bit better. Anyhow, did a walkthrough habitat. Watch it. It took me a heck of a long time, guys. I have added 20 hours of gameplay to this freaking save file because this mountain is big. There's not much I'm doing there, but it is big and there's some space to fill with as little decorations as possible while trying to make it look as detailed as possible. Now that, my friends, is a special challenge, and I think I've mastered it, even if I know that there are people out there who hate my triangle, the triangle of hell, as someone very dear to me calls my very special triangle viewing platform onto the Sauropod Valley. But yeah, what I wanted to say before I started to derail a bit is that I did a lot of stuff. Listen to me. This is oh my God. I hope. Are you still here? If you are, if you're still listening to this, you deserve a round of applause. So please applaud to yourself. I'm doing it right now. This is for you, my friend. You're a special, special person. So what I wanted to say is that I had to fill a ton of space on this mountain, and it took me a long time. Couldn't possibly show you all of it. This episode is already insanely long as it is. I'm just going to show you a few things that I personally find cute, that I like, and a few things in between so you don't get totally confused and don't know where on this map we are anymore. And that'll be it. I can confess, I guess, now that at the end of both building process and editing process, I was in the let's get it done mood. I just wanted to get it done. No more brilliant ideas. No more pulling a fun attraction out of your nose to put in this corner and that corner. No, a humble little patch of garden sometimes is as beautiful as the next thing, and you don't have to fill every inch with amazing stuff. Just tone it down a little bit. I mean, we're on a huge mountain with a 360-degree view on all this amazing stuff. You know what? Chill. Chill for a moment. Doesn't have to be spectacular. The view is. So I just knew I wanted this walkthrough habitat to feel like a public garden, with spaces that are really cozy and really tight, really planted and lush, and with some little sweet spots to hide and sit down, chill, relax, watch the view, watch the animals walking by. In contrast to pretty much open areas so the animals could still move in there. You know, it has to be at least a little bit believable. And I mean, the Alamosaurus on there. Well, let's not get started on this again. Okay, it's there now. It's there to stay. And with the constant restriction of not using too many decorations, I decided on, you know, creating one or two cute little heavy detailed spots that are surrounded by just nature, just brushes of foliage, you know, or water, or the path that is just lined with a couple of lights, or some trees. I used the fantastic lighting up the trees trick that Evo, I don't know where she did it, but I liked it. So I tried it here. I think it fits with this whole public garden park aesthetic very well to have these lit trees. Plus it's doing something a little bit special with the lights on this mountain with the view of the illuminated valley. I thought it's, you know, it just, again, ties things together. At least I'm trying to tell myself that. And yeah, I'm trying to create a ton of cozy spaces, cute spaces, marvelous spaces with some have a prime view onto the Sauropod Valley. I love it. Some are a little more private, a little more intimate, not as grand, but, you know, the small things are what makes it pretty. I just love the balance of all of that. And I don't care if anyone here doesn't like my triangle, because I love it. It's perfect and it stays like this. Yeah, plus I added, of course, hotels on the mountain. I couldn't resist. We needed some. I tried to add some in the first episode, but couldn't find a position of this building that made me happy, so it didn't happen. But if I want a hotel room in this park, I want it on the top of that mountain. I want to have this gorgeous view, no matter which one. I'm taking all of them. So, you know, we needed hotels. We needed path going by the edge so you can, you know, look around. Some towers with a view, some restaurants, a cafe. I added another little walk-through habitat that is housing only Cratosaurus, which was a mistake because it's too small and it can go through the door. I blocked it with the flags, but it didn't work, so I had to really put the concrete barrier in front of it and pretend for it to be like a separator that you would go through, like a little gate or whatever. Not exactly a turnstile, but something along those lines. Obviously, it doesn't really work because I can't put it inside of the doorway, but it was the only way that I could come up with that held those little buggers in check while looking at the same time. Like it could just be some sort of, I don't know, entry system to this little walk-through park. And I pretty much spontaneously decided to make this space an exhibit for Australopithecus. I don't know why. I just thought, why add another guest check section? There's one just below, there's one on top. We need something with an animal here. What could it be? Don't think too hard, just put galleries there. Bam, build a regular dinosaur exhibit with viewing galleries. That's it. And then I went back to check out all the other guys' stuff, and I, you know, got stuck on Caesar's little petting zoo he did, where he had one or two desert exhibits in there, and I thought that is so specific and so different from all the other stuff we have. I really like the way a desert exhibit looks on this map. I like the color of sand in combination with almost every rock color. It works. It just works. It's a little dark, but I really like it. It's a warm and dark sand. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just do another one of these? And I went shopping for dinosaurs. I didn't get far. I saw the Australopithecus. I took it and I put it in there with the cacti and the little pond it has. And I gave it fun colors and I like it. So yeah, nature, rocks, get it done, get it done, get it done. Almost there, almost there. Just this one path left to line. You can do it. The game hasn't crashed. It's still playable. You can see the finish line. And I just pulled through, and there it is, the final decoration piece I have placed in this build. And to cool down, I'm just doing a little bit of landscaping refinement, bringing the edge closer to the path and adding some texture. I really was afraid to add one single thing more to this save file, so I didn't want to put like rock and foliage details with individually placeable stuff on the side of the mountain. I literally was afraid I would break this save file, and so I decided on going with just terrain paints. Gave it the finishing touches until I thought, okay, that's something that I can hand in for Tommy to deal with. And that's where we're left now. I hear he hasn't started yet, but everyone's pretty confident we're going to make it to the end of the second round. I predict, well, I don't know, but I was like, we're lucky if Tommy gets to finish his build, but we'll see. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope you guys liked this. Here are a ton of glamour shots, trying to show you as much of it as I can without repeating myself too much. I hope this gave you some ideas for your stuff. You know, it doesn't always have to be a glitch. Sometimes you can fake it. You can achieve the same thing with terrains, or you have to work around it or change how you approach things, like not using the move tool anymore. You know, sometimes just accepting things and doing it, whatever. What am I talking about? Guys, this is it. Enjoy the rest of the beauty shots. Leave me a like if you like this. Consider subscribing to the other 5 as well. Check out the rest of the episodes if you haven't so far. And stay tuned for next week when JurassicTom is hopefully showing us what he's adding to this madness. I think this is the last time that I got to build on here. I have enjoyed it immensely. So all I have left to give you now is lots of love, and see you next time. Bye-bye.